Edition.
Alrighty, welcome back to Buffalo Wild Wings Mall of America for the Black Friday football feast. We have a very special guest joining us. May stick him $3,000 on his credit card, given his wife's negotiating each and every store and floor of Mall of America, either for herself, for the bow hunter, or for Christmas gifts. But we do welcome Ryan Burns with GopherIllustrated.com here. Hey! Bow hunting Burnsy, make him feel nice and welcome. Nice warm applause, please. Skayuma, Bow hunting Burnsy, Skayuma. At Ryan Burns MN via Twitter, at Ryan Burns MN via X. Follow him if you are so inclined. GopherIllustrated.com. Also with a Black Friday sale. There's a Black Friday sale for GopherIllustrated.com. What does that mean? And good morning.
Well, good morning to you guys. Appreciate you having me on a Black Friday, getting me all the way over to the Mall of America, which...
I knew what I was asking when I asked you to join. I knew it, and you did it. You always come through 9 to noon.
Well, we try to be. Again, I think some on this radio station, including this program, say we are a therapeutic Davenport of love.
Amen.
Yes.
And that's what we try to entail on a Black Friday.
You have to be.
Yeah, 75% off. Coaching Carousel is going to break out here this weekend with your guy, Lane Kiffin, making his decision between LSU, Florida, and Ole Miss.
Is that what that is? What I keep seeing the crawl bit.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, well, what's happening here?
Yeah, I mean, it's
So
welcome
is this
to college.
Be like the kids though, where he sits at a table and his family's behind him, and there's 3 hats.
Yeah.
I really hope so, because welcome to college football.
I mean, his father, Monty, God rest his soul, is no longer with us.
Right.
But if Monty still were with us, there ain't going to be no I'm taking my talents to South Beach type hat thing.
Yeah, it's, Coaching Carousel kicks off. We got National Signing Day on Wednesday, just 5 days away now, because the college football calendar is the most chaotic thing you'll ever see. But
this is like the soft signing day, right? Or this is the hardcore
This
signing
is the hardcore.
day,
I mean,
and then there's one in February or something like that.
Correct.
That used to be a big deal, and now it's not a big deal?
Correct. And that's where 90+% of all kids will sign on Wednesday. Now, barring coaching change, pandemonium, which you're going to see a lot because, like I said, you've got Penn State, you've got LSU, you've got Florida, and a lot of other guys are going to be making a decision here about where they're going to be coaching. But, yeah, we got Black Friday deals all around to try and cover your Gopher program the best we possibly can.
PJ Fleck, as you know, joins 9 to noon each and every Monday. And within one of the last 2 or 3 chats, I was like, hey, I don't know what the rules are here, if you can identify names or whatever. But, the bow hunter or wherever I'm seeing this, they're just really, really up on some of these verbals or signings and stuff like that. And I brought up, was it an offensive lineman or a
high-end receiver maybe? Sally?
Yeah, that might be it. And PJ feels really, really good about this class that's about set to be signed Wednesday. Is that a common refrain from him yearly? Because I can't remember.
Sure.
And or B, is it not? And wow, this legitimately looks to be a good class.
I think it is a legitimately good class, and where he's done really well here is in the state of Minnesota, where if you were watching the state tournament, you got to see someone like Roman Voss from Jackson County Central, who essentially does it all for them. I think he finished his high school football career with over 10,000 total yards for that team. Now, again, smaller school football, no terrorism towards the southern part of the state there, but, I mean, he is one of the best athletes, and you're legitimately able to beat out Bama for him back when. And I think he's someone who's going to have high expectations as a true freshman. You also look at a kid from Forest Lake, Minnesota, like Howie Johnson, where Minnesota graduates all 4 of their defensive tackles. Now, I don't really want too much to do with playing freshmen in the Big Ten at defensive tackle, but he holds the state record now for a career for tackles for loss and sacks. I mean, he has been a big part of the resurgence for that Forest Lake program, or even you go up to Cold Spring, Minnesota. I know you like to frequent up there.
Absolutely.
Nordo's more of a Rocori guy.
Yeah.
Well, he gets to go check out what I think might be – I think I have pegged him, the best offensive line prospect to come out of this state. I mean, you could probably –
What about Matt Anderle?
Well, to go since, I would say – I mean, you could talk about Joe Ald. I think Andrew Trout.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he is very, very, very gifted, very, very talented. And you look at what it looks like with the high-enders. I mean, that's what it looks like with the high-enders. Now, he's going to need a year or two, but he's going to be, I believe, enrolling early. So you look at the 4-star talents, there's not always a ton that come out of this state. And that's where I think Fleck and this staff have done a really good job, is in the state of Minnesota.
No, that's good. And I feel bad about it because I think it was Sally. After the team lost to Northwestern, I think Sally decommitted.
Yeah, he's going to Kansas State now. So is his other teammate. Yeah,
I saw there were 5 or 6 of those. That's just the new thing now. There was one cat, I forget what his name was. He might be going to Texas now or something. But he's committed and decommitted from 4 schools in the last 6 weeks.
Welcome to college football in 2025, where verbal commitments aren't what they used to be, but for many of these kids, and that's why I talk about the state of Minnesota and those type of kids, I mean, you're much less likely to decommit in this day and age. Now, again, you only need to get 5 more days until National Signing Day where you can put the pen to the paper, make it official, and then there's no more flip-flopping. So, I mean, we're finally there. We're finally close to it.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know that I would have it within a couple of days of the last regular season game, but I'm not the college football overlords. But it's go ahead.
So at gopherillustrated.com with the Black Friday bit, I saw 75% off, like exclusive, some exclusivity with the coverage or something.
Yeah.
Is that today only, and what else does it involve?
No, it gets through it gets through Cyber Monday, but that's where we got all the they got official visitors coming in on campus this weekend, a bunch of recruiting. I mean, again, between National Signing Day and the coaching carousel, and we'll see what happens.
And game coverage.
I mean, a bunch of game coverage, and that's where even Sunday, it's one of the worst parts of my Sundays. I don't really get to watch the Vikings as much as I used to because I'm rewatching Northwestern, Minnesota debacles, and Gophers putting up 35 points and losing for the second time in the P.J. Fleck era, or the third time since I think you were at this game back in 2010.
Okay.
When Tim Brewster's Gophers lost to South Dakota.
Yeah.
Oh, don't do that.
41-38. Yes, we got a ton of recruiting coverage, a ton of game coverage. If you are a Gopher Rube, and
did John Hazy play for South Dakota State? There was somebody. There was a Minnesotan for South Dakota State University, big beef-eating running back. I don't know if maybe Hazy played for the Gophers.
I think
he
did play for the Gophers,
yeah.
But I think you're thinking of Tyler Roll for NDSU, when he came into the Metrodome.
Bro, you're right.
And he put up 250 yards back when.
Well, let me ask you this, and then we'll start talking about the Axe.
Yeah.
So Mason West, the quarterback for Edina.
Yep.
All right, so he's, I think he's going to go play for that Fargo Juniors, USHL, whatever the level team is. And he wanted to, it was important to him, and he told the Blackhawks, go ahead and draft me. And I'm still going to be waiting around to finish, to handle this unfinished business with this high school football team. They win the championship. Mm-hmm. And from what I understand, the Canadian hockey teams took him off their board. Well, you're not as committed to hockey as you need to be if you're going to play for a super special Canadian team. So that was quasi-controversial. If Mason West were to make himself available to play football and say it was football, not hockey, with that size and with his skill set, would he have been a D1 quarterback? Any idea?
Well, that was part of the reason why he ended up choosing hockey was when he went through the evaluation process. From my understanding from talking with different Big Ten teams was many of them didn't see him as a quarterback. They saw him as more of, say, a Big Ten tight end where you convert him there, a Big Ten defensive end, and he wanted to play quarterback.
Yeah.
And I don't know of any Big Ten schools that were going to give him the opportunity, which is why he stuck to the ice, became a first-round draft pick of the Chicago Blackhawks. But even that whole deal with Edina, whether it's Mason West deciding I'm going to, again, not go up to play juniors until I get done with that, I want to chase a high school title, or even the high school running back, who's also, I believe, going to be a great baseball player. Plus,
Chase Bjorgard?
Yeah, and he's also the goalie for the hockey team.
Yeah, I think he's very good at baseball.
Yes.
He's very good at all of them.
I mean, if you're also going to be a goaltender for the Edina hockey team, you better be pretty good, too.
Right.
I mean, that's the best part about that whole story is you have kids dedicating themselves and saying, I know that I might not be the high-ender.
Amen.
Where you get to then go out with, again, those are memories you're going to have for the rest of your life where Mason West can know, yeah, maybe I had 4, 5, 6 months where I could have been developing in the hockey, but now I got to go out and win out a football state title, which is what I wanted to do, or even the high school running back there. Yeah, it's not maybe my best sport, but if I could go run for 6 touchdowns, make memories with everybody, I mean, what a way to go out. And even against that Moorhead team, they finally joined the highest class of football, and they make it all the way to the state title game.
Yeah.
I mean, they got a lot of kids.
I like their quarterback.
Yeah, Jet Feeney.
When he got out of the pocket and planted his feet, he was nice.
Yeah, I mean, Jet Feeney.
Is he your prospect?
He is, yeah. He's got Division I offers already. He's someone on the Gophers' radar. I mean, the Gophers have already offered multiple kids off that Moorhead team, and most of them are all juniors. So I think Moorhead's going to be sticking around here for the next state tournament as well.
All right, so Bucky is at Minnesota, 2:30 tomorrow on KFAN. We'll start here. Help me with this.
Yep.
The Badgers they're favored by 1.5.
They are now. Yep.
Okay, well, you would know more about the prospects of injuries and things like this. The injury report in college football is super aggressive. You don't get it till day of the game. Mm-hmm. But nevertheless, those who dig the way Burnsy does kind of have an idea of what's coming up. But the reason I bring it up is they have a true freshman at quarterback who is either played 4 games or he's playing his 4th.
Correct.
And they're winless on the road.
Yep.
Okay, they scored 20. I actually watched a half of this game in Appleton at a Badger bar called The Bar by our team hotel. And okay, they ran up 27 on Illinois.
Yep.
Well, I mean, everybody in the state of Wisconsin wants to stick it to Brett Bielema.
Yes,
so I mean,
do.
And everybody within the Badgers football program, there are still people who might have negative memories about Brett and the way they were treated or the perception or whatever. So they caught fire at Camp Randall and scored 27. The same amount of points they scored in the previous 5 games, and they were shut out twice. They scored 27 points over 5 games. Why are they favored in this game?
Because you don't know what you're going to get with this Minnesota team at that point, and that's where, I mean, if I knew which Minnesota team was going to show up, I think I'd have a much better inclination to prognosticate on this thing.
Yeah.
All I can tell you is this. The Badger offense versus the Gopher defense is the matchup, where it is the movable object that is the Gopher defense this month, who they can't stop essentially anything. They have forced 1 punt from their starting defense the last 2 games.
Wow.
But now they're facing a Wisconsin offense that you mentioned is bottom of the Big Ten in yards total, yards per play. They can't complete a forward pass more times than not. So you even have with it, and I'm not even joking.
That's a great way to put it.
It's you look at it, and Wisconsin is averaging, okay, they have put up, I believe, 270 passing yards this month.
Jeez.
This month.
Wow.
Is this Army-Navy we're talking about?
Right.
And you have to go for pass defense, which is allowing over 300 passing yards per game this month.
Wow.
I mean, it is.
But help me with this because I didn't get a chance to see the Wrigley game due to travel.
Yep.
But they give up 525 offense.
Yes, they did.
And so PJ's on Monday, and then, it's one thing Gopher Illustrated does that I really, really like. Bo Hunter leads it, is they will transcribe PJ's post-game press conference. So
everything
therefore,
PJ said.
Yeah, everything PJ said. So therefore, you're able to read some things back and kind of get some nuggets as I go box score chasing sometimes. And, he hit on it a little bit after the game, but a lot Monday 9 to noon. But he's not going to mention names. Personnel, right personnel, wrong personnel.
Yep.
Like what was the situation at Wrigley with the defensive personnel that was dramatically different?
Well, they were without their leading tackler at linebacker in Devin Williams, their best corner in John Nestor. But to me, that doesn't even, yes, that's part of the equation, but you weren't able to get a pass rush. You weren't able to force a turnover. They have forced 1. Stop me if you've heard this before, if it sounds like the grown-up team on Sundays here. They have 1 defensive takeaway in their last 5 games.
Right.
I mean, that is a
Vikings have 2-8.
Yeah.
2-8?
2-8.
Yep.
Sounds familiar to me.
Yep.
That's not good.
It's a tough place to live.
What happened to Anthony Smith? I thought he was tearing it up, that he was just speaking of unstoppable.
Yeah, all these sacks that they have through 11 games.
And he's still the number 1 guy in the Big Ten in sacks. He's actually,
we got that.
I mean, he's last week with I think it was intentional ground, and he gets credit for the sack. He's the first Gopher to surpass double-digit sacks since your guy Willie Van de Steeg back in 2008.
What about Karan Riley? Van de Steeg was after Riley.
Correct.
Yeah.
Wasn't Rashid Hageman kind of on a heater?
There's a lot of guys between even the guy you're going to see this weekend, Boye Mafe for the Seattle Seahawks.
They'd get to 8 or 9, but
Carter Coughlin. You've got Rashid Hageman. They got to that 8-9 mark, never were able to get over to double digits. Anthony Smith is the only one, but even he last weekend he had the guy dead to rights in the backfield a few different times, wasn't able to get him on the ground. I mean, that's where you get to this weekend. The Badgers just want to run the football.
This does sound like the Vikings, right?
It does.
Like Jonathan Grenard should have 15 sacks as many times as he's been an inch away.
Yes.
2025.
I mean, if you can stop the run and what is going to be, again, we'll see what the meteorologists say now 24, 48 hours away. Sounds like there's going to be light snow falling during the game. Sounds a lot like last year in Madison where, by the way, I'm very glad this game isn't going to be played in Madison. Because I don't know that if you've seen the forecast for that, we would have some type of Buffalo Bill December lake effect snow nonsense where you've got like the John Deere out there trying to clear out the yard lines. And I mean, it would be
well,
chaos.
At least we've had a ton of success running the ball this year, so we'd be good in those elements, right?
Yeah, you got the Badger defense, who is the second best run defense in the Big Ten this month, versus the Gopher offense, which, again, the collegiate version of the Minnesota Moving Company, and that's where I think you're going to see the pride of Tracy, Minnesota. I think you've also spent some time over there.
Love Tracy, Minnesota.
I think Tony Nelson's going to be getting his first start of the season at right guard. But, again, it's something to where both teams want it. I know that Minnesota's 6-0 at home. I know that Minnesota's offensive and defensive lines have shown up at home. And for whatever the reason is this year, if they do end up going 7-0 at home, it'd be the first time since 1967 that they've been able to do so.
Wow.
If you win in the trenches, and if you can just get to 20 points, which this offense is actually finally playing well with Drake Lindsey in the bit, I mean, you're going to have a great chance to retain the axe at that point.
What is so Carter Smith, the fourth guy to play QB for the Badgers this year, third or fourth?
Yes.
Is it because of injury?
It is.
Is it just because of bad play? What's up with who we're facing?
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of injuries where they took the Maryland quarterback out of the portal and Billy Edwards, and then they went to Danny O'Neal, who was a transfer from South. I think it's actually San Diego State. Then they moved to Hunter Simmons, a SIU transfer quarterback, and then they've just finally said, you know what? We're going to scrap the entire offense off of the bye week, and they just run what I like to refer to it as is a smoke and mirrors offense. You're going to see a bunch of different formations, a bunch of different shifts. It's essentially trying to get the back seven to get their eyes in the wrong spot, take a poor angle, and they're going to try to do what they can against you. Now, they love to run him, and it's going to be, if you can make him sit in the pocket. Again, I'm not the biggest pro football focus grades mean a whole lot thing, but he is the lowest graded passer in the Big Ten, minimum dropbacks that, again.
Can he run?
He can run. That's his whole bit, is if you can stop him in the quarterback run game, get them in the second and third and long, hopefully the kid from Esco can get another interception there.
Could the Northwestern quarterback run? Like what? I mean, it's PJ said, and maybe it was in the everything PJ said, best game of that young man's collegiate career.
Seemingly a lot of
throwing or running.
Yeah, it was both.
Okay.
I mean, seemingly coming into that game, Preston Stone, the Northwestern quarterback, had been completing 55% of his passes in Big Ten play, and he throws up 83%, including doesn't see a single pass hit the ground in the second half, 15-15.
Oh, geez.
So, I mean, it comes down to Danny Collins' defense, Minnesota's defensive coordinator. They haven't played well now for a month. Wisconsin's offense hasn't played well for some time. I mean, when they beat your Washington team, their leading passer was the punter in that game, Sean West. I mean, the whole thing was diseased on it. Wisconsin wants to get you into a phone booth and win 14-10.
Okay.
I'm telling you, if you can find a way to combat what is a very good front seven and keep Drake Lindsey upright, I'm not a big fan of the Wisconsin secondary. If you can keep Drake Lindsey upright and get to 20 points, Paul Bunyan's axe is going to stay indignant.
You know, this is obvious, but for a team kind of middle of the pack in the Big Ten, I think the Gophers are 9th or 10th if we're just going off of conference records.
Yep.
Man, this team needs this one. I mean, from just like you're looking at a squad that was really uncompetitive against Ohio State, uncompetitive against Oregon, but in lieu of vying for titles, and this is something I've texted you a few different times throughout the season, just getting your thoughts on various things. You didn't look competitive down in Iowa City. That's kind of just continues to be a pest, right? Beating Ferentz's bunch. You got to keep the axe.
You do.
When the Big Ten title's not on the line, this is kind of one of those gottas.
It is.
And I'm sure PJ and company feel that.
Oh, they feel a lot of pressure. I mean, they're well aware of the situation around their team where they're 0-5 on the road and got embarrassed in multiple games. And you have last weekend's debacle where, like I said, you score 35 points in a Big Ten game. You should win that game 95% of the time. And now you face a Wisconsin team where they are playing their best football of the season. They're 2-1 here in the month of November. But that's an offense that's diseased. And they're playing a lot of freshmen defensively.
How do they score 27 points over 5 games and find a way to win one?
Because
Are you kidding me?
Their defense is really good.
Okay.
And they have a front seven between, again, they got the reigning Big Ten Defensive Player of the Week in Darrell Peterson, Mason Rager. They're playing a couple of true freshmen, Mason Poza among the bunch. Their front seven is very aggressive. But if you can block them up and give Drake Lindsey just 2.5, 3 seconds to throw, I mean, I feel like we're going to be saying the same thing about your team on Sunday afternoon. If you just can get Brosmer some time to throw the quick passing game with some tempo, I mean, I think things are going to be all right for you.
So with P.J. Fleck, coach of the Golden Gophers football team, in the estimation of Bo Hunt and Burnsy, at Ryan Burns MN via X, what defines the P.J. Fleck era to this point? We'll get into that and more with Ryan Burns from Buffalo Wild Wings Mall of America when we return to KFAN. Off. So Ryan Burns at Ryan Burns MN via X. Gopher Illustrated, gopherillustrated.com. Big Black Friday sale. If you would like to join that covenant, go to gopherillustrated.com to learn more, or Ryan's Twitter feed at Ryan Burns MN. What defines the PJ Fleck era to this point? How would you describe that? I mean, there are tentacles to it.
I mean, we could spend the whole segment on it, yeah.
I mean, because I'm like, and again, I'm complete outsider here, but I'm seeing what's happening in Bloomington, and I get the NIL bit, and I get the blue blood market NIL part of it. I understand the transfer portal, like it or not, but if somebody formulated the opinion that with this, as he calls it, developmental program, and I'm not necessarily a giant fan of the program being called that, but we could talk about that in a little bit. If somebody formulated the opinion that in this market, with this climate, this is the best that you can do, that you will have for multiple reasons, would that be a bad take?
I mean, I think they can do more. Now, there's a lot of different angles of this where I think if you were to hear the Minnesota side of it, it's, well, okay, we are bottom 5 in total revenue in the Big Ten. And this is an institution that has been, we are only going to spend what we have. Now, I think that's a very responsible way to go through life. But I look at places like UCLA and Rutgers that, okay, they're below Minnesota in terms of revenue, but guess what? They got 30, 50 million. They get to go above and just spend willy-nilly, and they don't have to feel the repercussions of it. Okay, well, if they're going to go above and beyond, and then you look at the recruiting 300-mile radius.
Now, to be clear, that's taxpayer cash.
Yes.
Okay, just confirming. They actually get that money from their respective states.
Correct.
Okay.
Or even you look at, like, Indiana, and that's one that comes up a lot, is I think if one of the things that doesn't get talked about enough with Cignetti is, number one, I think he is a fantastic coach. He is someone that he knows what he's looking for, and then he can get the most out of that player. Well, the other thing that coincides with Curt Cignetti is the rise of Mark Cuban in that institution, where you look at when Mark Cuban left the Mavs.
I just learned about that today.
When he left the Mavs, and you look at the amount of money he has now donated to that school and that athletic program, I mean,
that's it.
I mean, Sig's got quite a bit going on. Plus, you look at even that basketball team when, again, they were the number one team in NIL. Indiana basketball was. They had Mike Woodson in the bunch. I mean, they have a lot of resources there. Now, to bring it back to Minnesota, I would tell you the transfer portal class that he took last year, too many whiffs on it. I mean, they didn't have enough hits where they can. I mean, you look at some of the hits they've had over the years with, like, Benjamin St-Juste. I still think that is among the funniest things where Benjamin St-Juste and Jim Harbaugh tries to get him to medically retire from the University of Michigan. He says, no, thank you, goes in the portal, comes to Minnesota, becomes an NFL draft pick.
Yeah.
And then where did you just call a game for him a couple of weeks ago?
Well, I know he played for the Commanders at one point.
He's now with the Chargers.
Chargers,
in
yeah.
Jim Harbaugh.
That's
so
right.
the whole thing comes full circle after the whole bit.
I love
he
that.
He pushes him out of Michigan, and then he goes back and, again, it ain't personal, it's just business, as you know, in this league.
Yeah.
But I think for Fleck, it's this. I believe as he sits here today, he is tied for the most amount of program wins with Glenn Mason. And if he wins on Saturday, he surpasses him. But for him, it is you have to hit in the portal more. And if you do, and even think about last week's game, I mean, that's a game you got to win.
Yeah.
I mean, you score 35 points, and then we'd be talking about another 7-8 win season plus the bowl game. I want to see more 2019 type seasons like everyone. But with Drake Lindsey in the bit, I don't think it was ever going to come to fruition this specific season. So they have raised the floor, and I get the whole point of, well, what is the ceiling? I'd love to know what the ceiling is too, but if they're going to have a 2019 type of season, they got to get older, and that means you got to retain players such as, again, I think there is a decision to be made for someone like Anthony Smith, where the reality of college football is now this, PA. With the amount of money that every school has, whether it's because of the house settlement where each one of these programs has $14 million to spend on their players, plus NIL, I mean, Anthony Smith could stay in college and easily make $1 million, $2 million. So do you do that and stay at the University of Minnesota, or do you go become a fourth-round draft pick?
Yeah.
I mean, that is going to be where...
Or do you transfer to a place you can get 2.5, do it again...
Sure.
Become a second or third round draft pick.
Well, that's where Anthony even talked about at Big Ten Media Days with me, that Penn State, where he's from the state of Pennsylvania, he goes, I turned down Penn State and more money last year. Well, I like it here. I mean, he lives.
That's great.
He loves Minneapolis, I'll tell you. And that's where, with the NFL draft bit with even in it, I think as you guys get into, and again, as this Vikings season doesn't go the way that I think many people think, the mid and late rounds, I think, are going to be as bad as you've seen because these kids are just going to stay in college and collect big checks. So, I mean, it's a fascinating bit. Now, if Minnesota can retain the Coy Parriches and Drake Lindseys and Anthony Smiths of the world, you can continue to build this thing. But, like, when your right tackle leaves and is now starting at Ohio State, I mean, it's a tough place to be.
But with Parrish, it's not an if, right? I mean, I'm not going to hold a 17, 18-year-old exactly to every single word that was said into the program. But I mean, it was the narrative for him and his group was it's important to come here and stay here.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm not telling you I think Coy Parrish is going to leave.
Yeah.
The thing that you have to know, though, with the Go for Football program and the money thing is these kids can always leave and go get more money elsewhere. If it's about the money, I mean, the reality is, like we've talked about here, I mean, they just don't have the most amount of money compared to a Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan, whatever it may be.
Well, and that's just not the school, right? That's booster programs. That's, the respective Mark Cubans of various universities.
Right, but they also have as much money to now dictate to these players. So Minnesota can be as competitive as they want to be with that in terms of making a competitive offer to the Coy Parrish or the Drake Lindseys of the world. But the reality is, too, you can be competitive, but there's always going to be somebody that can offer you more money. And that's where the hope would be if you actually do like it here in the Twin Cities, which these kids do. Again, like I do, there's a lot of things to do around here.
Yeah.
And these kids like that. So if you like it here and they can make you a competitive offer, that's why you've seen a lot of these kids like Coy Parrish and others stay here.
So with Drake Lindsey, what do you think of the progression? What do you think of the maturation now that it comes to an end tomorrow from conference play?
I think any expectations I had for him, and I was high on him coming into the year, but you never know how a freshman's going to play in the Big Ten for the first time. And as we sit here going into tomorrow, he's got 15 passing touchdowns, 6 picks, and I think that to me, I mean, you look at the month of November here, why Minnesota's been competitive. They're the only Big Ten team not to have a giveaway as an offense. And you're telling me the freshman quarterback hasn't given away the football that much, and that's going to lead you to success. I think he's got a big arm. He's not the most mobile guy in the world. I think every time I see him take off on a scramble, I think of Chris Berman, I say Sunday night, and he's going through the halftime highlights, going rumbling, bumbling, stumbling down the field there, including that game-winning touchdown run to the front pylon there. But he has an arm, and if you can give him receivers that can get open, and if you can give him an offensive line that can, A, protect him, and I'm just imagining next year what he can look like with a resemblance of a running game. Again, Minnesota's a big team that loves to do run and play action. if you actually have to have the linebackers respect anything with the run game, I think there's a lot of hope for what Drake Lindsey could become here.
I'm glad you mentioned the offensive line because that was kind of a big change into this year, too, with all the new names or faces that were getting their first opportunities. Is it a similar group next year, or is there change on the horizon there, too? Because this became a team where I'm thinking PJ wants to have the ball for 38 to 40 minutes, run it 40 times, and then if Drake Lindsey can just hit a deep shot once in a while, manage the game, not turn it over, you're going to see some W's. Well, Drake Lindsey's out there having to run it up against Rutgers and some of these teams this year because whether it's Darius can't stay on the field, Boy I think is another back, like just the stagnant nature of the run game, very un-PJ-like. Feels like the O-line played a part of that. It probably needs to be better next year.
Again, I'll be the first one to tell you RTB doesn't stand for just row the boat in Dinkytown. It's run the ball. And they haven't been able to run the ball now for most of offensive coordinator Greg Harbaugh's era now. How much of that you put on Harbaugh versus the offensive line versus even this year, Darius Taylor just cannot. He can't stay healthy. I think about last week's game where they finally block an outside zone correctly. He gets to the second level, and he's got a fridge on his back trying to get to the open field where he's been dealing with soft tissue leg injuries the entire season. And I think that's even one of the most interesting inflection points to watch here over the next month is what do you offer Darius Taylor to come back?
Right.
Is because of his oft-injured nature this year, and I think that plays a big part in the running game, is what do you offer him? I mean, how much money are you willing to dictate to, if he's healthy, he's an all Big Ten back. But he's been healthy for, say, 12 quarters. Like, actually, truly 100% healthy.
Yeah.
And, again, he's got a skill set that's going to play really well on Sundays if he can put it together. But it is with Drake Lindsey now going forward, I think you're going to see next year even your best player is your quarterback. And so you're going to want to, I think, probably go more tempo. But you still have to find ways to run the football. And they return 3 guys on the offensive line in theory, including a freshman left tackle, the pride of Prior Lake, Minnesota, Greg Johnson, who I think after next season will be an NFL draft pick. Wow. I'm very excited about his progress. Now, can they keep him at one position? But in theory, you return 3 starters, but you also have to develop these guys. The lack of development as a unit from game 1 to game 12, very noticeable.
All right, Bo Hunter, last one with the game tomorrow, 2:30 KFAN. The Badgers are in town at Huntington Bank Stadium, battle for the Yaks. Gophers won it last year. They're looking to win it 2 consecutive times, and for the 4th time in the last 5 years, I believe.
Somewhere, yeah, sounds right.
Okay, yep. So at Gopher Illustrated, I found it via at Ryan Burns MN. That's where I started via Twitter. But then you get into a snazzy little game preview, and near the bottom of the story, or somewhere in there, it's quite obvious that Bo Hunter is a proponent of passing to run in this one for the Gophers football team, despite RTB being row the boat and run the ball. Proponent to pass your way to running. Why?
Well, first of all, I learned from a young age from UPA to go with your strengths, whether that's in life or whether that's in the game of football. And I look at Minnesota's strength, and that is certainly passing the football. I know what their weakness is, and they're the worst running team in the Big Ten. What is Wisconsin's strength as a defense? They're the second best run defense in all the Big Ten this month. And where they struggle is if you can have their secondary actually get tested, Drake Lindsey is going to have a big game tomorrow. So I think if you're Minnesota, look, if I'm the offensive coordinator, Greg Harbaugh, tomorrow, and I don't know what the snow situation is going to be, I don't think the wind's going to be that much of a factor, I'm going tempo. I want to see what this Badger defense, because Minnesota really hasn't gone to a lot of tempo before end of half, end of game situations. Put it in Drake Lindsey's hands. I think he's coming off his best game of the season, 4 passing touchdowns, 250-plus yards, was making tight window throws all over the field. But that's where this thing's got to start. Is not only is it the passing game, PA, but my goodness, do they have to come out to a much quicker start. They continue to struggle on the opening script, and then the Gopher defense, seemingly all of these home games where, again, they are 6-0 at home.
Yeah.
But you think about the Rutgers game, the Penn State game, the Purdue game. You're down 10-14-0 off rip. And you know, like I do, you get into a negative game script, you can't be out there running the football like you want to do. So if you can get off to a quick start tomorrow and actually make the Badgers try to attempt a forward pass, that is going to be the thing. But if they are going to be able to do that, get out to a 7-10 lead, it's going to be through the air. It's going to be through Drake Lindsay.
My man, enjoy the game, and thank you very much for stopping by Buffalo Wild Wings Mall of America and amplifying the feast. Enjoy the game, okay?
Enjoy Brosmer Brownstones on Sunday afternoon, gentlemen.
He's the bow hunter. He's Ryan Burns at Ryan Burns MN. It's Gopher Illustrated, Gophers, and Badgers. 2:30 tomorrow on KFAN. We are calling Minnesota Vikings immortality around the corner. Kevin Williams, one of the great defensive players in the history of Vikings football. He'll join 9 to noon next. Wings Mall of America. Welcome back to the Friday Football Feast. We are super excited to chat with one of the great defensive players in the history of Minnesota Vikings football, one of the great defensive linemen in the history of the game overall, and he is a Pro Football Hall of Fame semifinalist. His name is Kevin Williams. Nickname was Big Ticket. He's a 2026 semifinalist for HOF after 11 years with the Minnesota Vikings, and during which he was a 5-time first-team All-Pro. Here comes Kevin Williams joining us from afar now. Big Ticket is Paul Allen at a Buffalo Wild Wings at Mall of America. How you been?
What's up, PA, man? It's been great. I had a pretty good Thanksgiving. Probably ate too much, but all in all, it's been good.
Kevin, what does the food spread look like at Thanksgiving for Kevin Williams?
This year we did ham, dressing, sweet potatoes, greens, cornbread, mac and cheese. I think that was it. A couple desserts.
What kind of desserts? Peach pie, banana cream, pumpkin. What'd you have?
We had sweet potato pie, pecan pie, and I don't know, some other kind of pie my nephew brought. I don't know what that was.
Amen, man. And it's great to talk with you. Once again, Kevin Williams, old 93 when he played here, a semifinalist for the 2026 Pro Football Hall of Fame. And when it comes to being a semifinalist, how do they inform you, Kevin? Like, do you get a call? Do you know? Like, does Tom West inform you? Hey, this is coming. Like, how's it work?
This particular moment, Mark Craig texted me and told me I made a semifinalist, but I also heard from my brothers. You know, Jared texted me. I guess they get I don't know how they know. That's what I was wondering. Jared, Hutchinson, all the Vikings I played with kind of texted me and gave me a heads up. After that morning when they announced it, they texted me and kind of filling me in on just what it's going. I mean, it's still a long process. Super excited, but those guys kind of told me what was going on that morning, and then heard from T. West later on that day. It's been different. I don't think it's a certain protocol that they just go through. I think it just pops out on ESPN and kind of word of mouth.
Well, no, I mean, knowing you as long as I have and taking a leap here, I don't think you're on social media as much as the other people that you mentioned or a lot of other people. Like, when I go to Twitter, I don't 9-3 HOF semifinalist. So they probably saw it on like social media or the ESPN crawl or something. So none of that surprises me with how you found it out. Now this may seem like a dumb question, but just knowing you and one of the more even keel, take it as it comes people that I've ever met, is it important to you to get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame? Like, does it really matter to you?
Of course it matters. I mean, it's one of the ultimate things. I mean, to know you're getting honored and you're just getting recognition for the hard work you put in. I mean, you want to win a division, you want to win a Super Bowl. That's the ultimate, the other ultimate thing you want to do in playing professional football. But if you don't accomplish all that, hey, the ones that do have a chance, to make the Hall of Fame, it'd be a tremendous honor to get in. I mean, I'm not, like you said, I wasn't sitting around waiting on the semifinalist list to drop. But it feels good to know you made a step further this year. And it's still a long way to go. I'm extremely excited, but I'm still keeping it under wraps. No telling if when the day does come, and no telling how emotional it'll be, but still kind of even keel right now. And I know it's a long road to hoe, but I'm also definitely excited as well.
Hey, Kevin Williams, our 9 to noon guest. The Friday Football Feast co-host is Nordo, who also produces the show, and he has something for you. Nordo?
Yeah, Kevin, thanks for joining us this morning. I was just thinking, when as you mentioned it, Hall of Fame matters. It's an awesome and unbelievable immortality-like accolade. But as you look back at your career, Kevin, is there something in particular you're like, man, I'm proud of all the sacks, or I look back and how about those interceptions, the fumble recovery TDs? For me personally, as a fan of the team, Kevin, I just think about the longevity and your durability. I mean, you made almost all the dances, Kevin, and just the impressive nature of staying healthy and having the long career that you had. Do you look back at all like that and just like this particular thing it gives me immense joy from my career?
I think the important thing was, I tried to be there. They knew on Sunday if I was on the team, I was gonna be suited up. I could hang my hat on that, and there was one thing I definitely was prideful about. I don't think I missed but a couple games, maybe 2, to injury or something. But I definitely prided myself in being what they tell you, the best ability is availability. So I wanted to make sure I was there. And just being a good teammate, I think all the numbers and all that stuff, it sounds good, but I don't know. It feels good when you hear your teammates compliment you and say nice things and pleasantries about you, and just know that the stuff you were doing didn't go in vain. Because I know when I first got drafted to Minnesota, Lance Johnstone and Billy Lyons, all those guys were there. Fred Robbins, all those guys, they did a good job of including me in the room. And when I elevated in the room, I just wanted to make sure I did that with everybody else. And no matter who we were playing, I tried to make them all feel like, hey, we need you, we can do it, and it's just a family atmosphere with the group that I played with.
At this stage, Kevin, now as a spectator, obviously retiring from the league, how close do you stay with the Vikings? Do you still kind of going back in time, think about the rivalries with whether it was the Packers or the Bears or the Lions? Do those types of games still fire you up, maybe a little more so than just some non-conference game? Like, and with the Seahawks, you spent some time there as well, the next opponent of the Vikings. How close or how emotionally invested are you in the sport or with the purple in particular?
The excitement just not bubbling over, but I definitely was taking notice that, we hadn't lost to the Packers in a few years, and then they got us this past week. I kind of was disappointed in that one, but I definitely enjoy taking it out, taking them to the woodshed every time we play them, and Chicago's definitely on the rise, so we gotta stay on it. Detroit, if you look at the standings this year, it's like almost flipped from what it was last year. I think it was Detroit, us, Green Bay, and Chicago. Now Chicago, Green Bay, Detroit, us. It's almost exactly flipped from last year. So the NFC North, I think, is still one of the toughest divisions. Some of the best rivalry football going on, I think, today.
Hey, Ticket, you spent 2014 with Seattle, and like Nordo said, the Vikings play at Seattle this weekend, and that Seattle team went to the Super Bowl, and Kevin played 45 plays in the Super Bowl, 40 on defense, 5 on special teams. Now, you didn't win. It was that Super Bowl. Malcolm Butler jumped the route right at the goal line, but nevertheless, what was it like playing in Seattle? And the hard work and just everything that goes into getting to a Super Bowl.
It was definitely a fun time. I think it blew. When I decided not to come back to Minnesota, that was my ultimate goal, to try to have a chance And going to Seattle, and it's funny because it was between Seattle and New England, the two teams I was going to. But hey, we see how that ended up. But anyway. to be just around a group of young men that were so excited about the game and their craft. I mean, from top to bottom on that Seattle roster, they were loaded with, guys that was hungry and talented, and they wanted to be the first team in a few years, I think it was, to, actually repeat. And they had it right there. We had it right there in our hands. I think everybody remembers it. Like you said, Butler jumping the route and everybody looking around like, what the world just happened when you got Marshawn Lynch in the backfield. So, I mean, It was a great ride to be around younger guys. They give you so much life, and they're so hungry with desperation to win. It was great, and it was exciting. Really got the juices flowing to be able to compete again.
Last one here, Kevin. Kevin Williams, former Vikings defensive lineman, really, along with John Randall, one of the best 2-3 techniques in the history of this team. And he's a semifinalist for the 2026 Pro Football Hall of Fame, so we'll be pulling for big ticket for that. He's absolutely worthy. And lastly, Kevin Williams played for head coach Mike Tice, Brad Childress, and Leslie Frazier. Now, Leslie is an assistant head coach on the Seattle Seahawks staff, so we're going to see him this weekend. What do you, just quick twitch, Kevin, Leslie Frazier, what do you know you'll always respect about Leslie?
Coach Frazier's going to always put God first. No matter what we're doing, he's going to lead with God and hoping, putting it in God's hands for for us to be your best and do the best. And I mean, he's a phenomenal person. I wish he got, another shot at maybe being a head coach, but, he's a great person, always leading with God in his heart.
Amen, my man, and God blessed you immensely, and you used those gifts on game day in second to none fashion. So thank you very much for not only the wonderful career, but joining us the day after Thanksgiving. We'll be pulling for you to take it to the next step, where I think they cut it down to 15 or something like that. All right, Kevin, have a good day.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it, PA.
Yep, see you about Kevin Williams. Big ticket. Finishes the middle hour, 9 to noon. And when we return to Buffalo Wild Wings Mall of America for the Friday Football Feast, it's the Friday Power Forward Feast with Parker Fox. Main man Parker Fox negotiated the levels of aggressive parking finding and made it into BWWMOA. And we'll chat about myriad things with P Fox 24 when 9 to noon continues on KFAN.